I've been having a lot of conversations with advisors lately just about how can they make it a better work environment? How can they feel less stress, less overwhelmed? How do we deal with client requests coming in that weren't planned, that we don't have time in the calendar for, that need to be attended to? So let's talk about a couple of different strategies that I implemented in my business that were insanely helpful. And I've seen other advisors use it with the same success. So, first example, let's say a client calls and they're like, hey, I need to update my banking that's on file with you guys. We just switched banks and we now need to get that set up so our new monthly withdrawals come out of our new checking account. So, when you take this call, right? So, if you have a full day and you take this call, you get all the banking information, you're like, okay, great, client, I'm going to go ahead and get that form completed and sent out to you. And if we just leave it at that, there's this feeling of expectation from our clients that they're going to get it that day. And we're going to feel like, okay, we need to get that out to them right away. We said we'd take care of that. Even though we have all this other stuff on our plate, we're mentally doing some gymnastics and reprioritizing what is all of the stuff that we have to get done so we can get this out. A simple way for you and your team to make sure we're setting expectations with our clients and give ourselves a little space to get some stuff done is to just say simply to the client, great, I have all the information. We have time set aside on our calendar for Thursday to do forms and paperwork. Is it okay with you if we get to that to you this Thursday? So if it's Monday, you've now bought yourself several days to get this done. And here's the trick, having a model week, which you've heard me talk about since episode 12 of this podcast, that you need to have a model week with time built in to do these types of things. And so as long as you're telling the client like, hey, we have time set aside on Thursdays for these types of things, is it okay with you if we complete that on Thursday and you'll get that by the end of the day? More often than not, the client's going to say, yeah, sure, great. Now with an example like this, you're going to need to double check which day the funds draw from their account to make sure we're doing it in time. But if it's a beneficiary update or, hey, we need to change the ownership of something to the trust, the one thing I love about financial planning is there's really not a lot of life-threatening emergencies. There's not a lot of really time-sensitive financial planning emergencies that take place. More often than not, we can punt as long as we're properly setting that expectation with clients. So if a client calls in to change their beneficiary and you say, great, we have some time set aside on Thursdays to take care of that. Is that okay with you? You should get that by the end of the day, Thursday. Does that work for you? Right? Super simple. And now you or your team can finish working on whatever it was that was right in front of your nose. You get to keep going. You don't have to shift and adjust your priorities for the day because we forgot to set expectations for the clients. Now, if you have time set aside on Thursdays to get these things done and you don't articulate that to the client and you wait till Thursday to do the thing, they're going to be sitting there wondering like, oh, did they forget? They haven't sent that form to me yet. And now we're potentially putting ourselves in a position where we are not setting expectations with the client, so they're not really sure. We don't want them feeling like they're following up with us the next day or the day after because we didn't tell them when to expect it. The other way we can handle some of these requests that are coming through, so I've had a lot of advisors in our group coaching program say this recently, like, well, what do I do when I have a really good client service model? So right now we're in the throes of client service model, client service calendar, segmentation, right sizing our service models. And I get a lot of advisors asking questions about like, well, what do I do if I'm not supposed to see the client until, let's say, 3 or 4 months from now? So I'm recording this in September. Let's say the meeting isn't till November. And the client calls in with a question. Again, the thing that I would say is this life-threatening? Is this an emergency? Is this something that has to be dealt with now? More often than not, it's just a client calling in with a question when it was on their mind. And maybe like 8 times out of 10, you can say, you know what, that's a great question. I'm going to go ahead and add that to your agenda. I see you have a meeting coming up in November. Let's go ahead and add that to your agenda, and I'll make sure Libby addresses that with you then. Or quick email response if you don't have a teammate. Hey, I saw your note. I put it on our agenda for the November meeting. I'll make sure that I show up prepared to answer all of your questions about blah, blah, blah. Now, of course, sometimes there are going to be things like, hey, I got a retirement package offer and I need to make a decision within the next 30 days. Okay, yes, sometimes there are things that are going to warrant a special meeting. And hopefully you're using VIP time slots for things like that. There's another podcast episode on that. But more often than not, as long as our clients know that we've got it documented and we're going to be addressing it, it can totally wait. And not everything warrants a special phone call or a special email or a special meeting if it's something that can be addressed in the future. Now, again, you have to identify ahead of time with your team, like, well, what are those things that are time sensitive? Obviously, trades, obviously, benefits package deadlines, things like that. Okay, fine, we're gonna have to meet and talk about that. But there are a lot of things that we can punt until the next scheduled meeting. So anyways, again, it's all about setting expectations with the client and just saying, hey, I've documented it. Is that okay with you? And getting their permission and their yes that, hey, that works perfectly well for us and that we'll take care of it at a later time. You can expect that by Thursday at end of the day. We'll take care of that in our November meeting. At the end of the day, a lot of what we do is just managing behavior. And as long as our clients know that we've got it taken care of, they'll be perfectly satisfied and content. So hopefully this helps with some of you who are feeling some of that pressure of handling all the client emails that are coming in or handling special requests. Hopefully this gives you a little reprieve. I'd love to talk about it more over in the Efficient Advisor community on Facebook. And of course, as you know, I hang out on LinkedIn. Thanks so much and have an amazing rest of your week.